Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Rob LaBarbera Show and the Rob LaBarbera Show NFL picks for the 2020 season. Coming back for another round because I did pretty well last year, much better than I usually do. That percentage will be across the bottom of the screen now, but going forward, we're not looking at 2019, we're looking at 2020. And one of the things I'd like to do for 2020 is keep these videos on the shorter side. So I'm just going to jump straight on in. We got the Houston Texans against the Kansas City Chiefs. And how do you not take the Kansas City Chiefs in this game? Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs really didn't lose much. I think Bashaud Breeland was like the biggest thing that they lost from last season to this season. Houston kind of completely overhauled their offense. And I'm not sure what's going to happen at all with their scheme or how they play. It could be exactly the same, though. They still have Will Fuller and all those people. They have David Johnson now. Brandon Cooks might not play in the game. We're not sure yet. But when you look at it from a consistency standpoint, and Kansas City's riding high on all the momentum from winning their Super Bowl, I don't see how you can pick against Patrick Mahomes. Not a slight against Deshaun Watson. It's on video now that I turned the corner on Deshaun Watson. I really like the kid now. I hope the best for him, but it's not going to be a win for him in week one as Kansas City takes this game 38-28. And the next game I'm going to go ahead and highlight is going to be the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Washington Football Team. And this is another game where how do you not take the Eagles? How do you not take one team over the other? Washington is in disarray a little bit. They're in a huge rebuild. I think Chase Young is going to be a great player for them off the edge. It's going to be really fun to see how he performs going forward. But the Eagles probably have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder being so injured last season and it effectively ending their season. They're actually really beat up going into this season as well. Half their offensive line is just gone. But if you were going to start the season hurt, Washington is one of the teams you'd probably want to play against because the talent level just isn't there. And they don't match up very well against each other, to be honest. So, in my opinion, I think Philly takes this one 35-17. And now we have the first of a couple of games where I'm not too sure what's going to happen here. This is Miami at New England with Cam Newton versus Ryan Fitzpatrick in this AFC East showdown. I'm going to take Cam Newton and the New England Patriots in this one, 24-21. I think this game's going to be very close. Bill Belichick doesn't coach very well against Miami. I know that's a really weird thing to say, but his record against Miami is worse than that against other teams. That's the one team that's kind of given him the most trouble, which is really weird because Miami's had so much turnover. It's like, how do you keep that consistent? I don't know. Speaking of I don't know what you get out of Cam Newton here. You know a lot more of what you're going to get out of Ryan Fitzpatrick in this situation, and that's a gunslinger. So I think this is going to be a little bit of a barn burner in the second half. Things are going to be slow to get started, but in my opinion, Cam Newton is going to do Cam Newton things from 2015 and get the job done. Even though you have, 8 people on the defense for New England who opted out of the season, which, by the way, no problems with that at all. Put your health first, players, please. I have no issues with that, but it is something that we need to consider going forward. I don't think it's going to be too big of an issue here, though. And now we are looking at the Green Bay Packers versus the Minnesota Vikings in a AFC. They're not in the AFC. They're in the NFC North divisional showdown here in Minneapolis. I'm going to take Green Bay. Vikings just threw Danielle Hunter on IR, which certainly doesn't help them. They get Yannick Ngakoue from the Jags, which is great, but Michael Pierce also opted out. Their D-line's a little bit suspect, and all of their corners seemingly hop ship over to Cincinnati. While the Packers needed more offensive weapons, specifically at the wide receiver position, considering Minnesota didn't do a ton of upgrading at the corner position this last offseason, I don't think it's going to be an issue. Aaron Rodgers seems to always find a way to get it done. This team went 13-3 last year. If we're looking at it, honestly, I trust the Green Bay defense more than the Minnesota defense right now, and I certainly trust Aaron Rodgers more than I trust Kirk Cousins. I think they're both great teams, and they'll probably both make the playoffs this year, but right now I got to take Aaron Rodgers to beat the purple team over in Minnesota by a score of 27-17. And now we're going to be looking at Indianapolis versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. And the Jaguars are this year's version of the Miami Dolphins. We're pretty much going to never pick the Jags this year. Don't hold me to that. I will probably pick them at one point this season. But I don't see a lot of talent built up in that team to win games. I see a lot of talent built up to lose games so that they can get good draft picks and start rebuilding the team. I love Gardner Minshew. I think he's a great quarterback, but Indy was nearly a playoff team last year with Jacoby Brissett, who's a good quarterback. I think he's about on the level of Phillip Rivers' play right now. I don't see Rivers as much of an upgrade. They're going to go as far as he can take them because the rest of the team is really solid. Jacksonville's just not there. Give it to me by a score of 18-10, and it'll stay a little close because Indy's going to get out of the gate a little bit slow. And the next game we were going to be looking at in our series of Week 1 games is Detroit taking on the Chicago Bears at home. And I'm going to take the Detroit Lions in this game. I'm going to try my best to not be so low on them this year. I have a feeling about Detroit that they're going to be a lot better than everybody thinks they're going to be. Does that mean a playoff team? I don't think so. Not in my opinion. I think the defense still has too many question marks, but their offense is so well-rounded and so cohesive, in my opinion, it will carry them to a couple of wins throughout the season, which is about the opposite of what Chicago's situation is. Chicago's got a great defense, great defensive line, great safeties on the back end, but their offense is such a question mark. I don't trust them to do anything in a single game. A lot of people out in the media are saying this game's not going to be a good one for Matt Stafford just because he's playing Chicago. I don't think that's going to matter. I think Stafford's going to take them to a big win in this one, 20-17. Defense for Chicago does keep them in the game, though. And now we are taking a look at the new Las Vegas Raiders taking on the new Carolina Panthers, headed by Matt Rule, the new head coach hired over from Baylor. Teddy Bridgewater is now the quarterback of this team. They are returning Christian McCaffrey, a lot of people's fantasy MVPs from last season, and the Raiders returning Derek Carr and Josh Jacobs. I'm going to take the Raiders in this one. I think defensively they're stronger. I think offensively they're stronger, and I have no clue what to expect from Carolina. I didn't watch a ton of Matt Rule's Baylor teams. I didn't really even watch that much Raider football last year, but consistency-wise, I feel the Raiders are going to be more prepared for this game. I don't usually trust first-year head coaches. Carolina's defense is a big problem right now. No more James Bradbury either. I think Derek Carr is going to have a big game. Give it to me 27-13. And now we've got the New York Jets taking on the Buffalo Bills in what I believe will be... I've got two beliefs on this game. It's either going to be Buffalo in a blowout or it's going to be close, but Buffalo wins either way. I'm going to go Buffalo 31-20. If you watch this show, you know I don't like Sam Darnold and I don't trust Sam Darnold, but Week 1, I think he'll have a good game here. And the Jet defense is actually much better than people think they are, even without Jamal Adams. You still have Pierre Desir over on the corner side there. Their defensive line's still great. They've got some weapons on offense. Don't discount Brashad Perriman. He is a great wide receiver, especially since leaving Baltimore. He's actually been very solid. But Buffalo, man, Buffalo's solid. I'm going to carry the same hype I had for Buffalo last season into this season. I think they're going to win their division. They're going to win a playoff game, but they might not go much further than that. I don't know. It's kind of like Indy. They're going to go as far as Josh Allen wants to take them. So it's going to be a push and shove kind of how much he develops throughout the year. But in Week 1, they get the Jets, and I think that they take care of the Jets pretty handily. We're now going to be looking at the Cleveland Browns taking on the AFC North champion Baltimore Ravens. And it pains me to say, I know last season I picked the Browns to win against the Titans in Week 1, and goodness gracious, I was wrong. But I also picked this team to lose to the Ravens in Week 4 last year, and I was wrong there as well. I think Cleveland's a much different team than they were last year, but you know who's not going to be a different team? Baltimore. They're going to pounce and jump and run and catch and do everything over everyone that they play this year, because Baltimore is still a really good team. Even without Earl Thomas, I think losing Earl Thomas makes them even better, because Earl Thomas, not the favorite player on that team of a lot of people, and they added Calais Campbell, who is arguably the best run-stopping defensive lineman in the league. And they're going against a team that wants to run the ball a ton with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. I really think Cleveland's going to turn a corner this year. Probably not with a playoff spot, but 8-8 probably, but Baltimore is a terrible team to play in the first week of the season. I think Baltimore's going to actually be better this year than they were last season. Might not be through their record, but they're going to be more consistent throughout the entire course of a year. And I know they didn't lose after Week 4 last year. It's weird for me to say this. They're not going 15-1. They're not going 16-0. They might go 13-3, but they're going to be a more solid team this year. Give me the Ravens 38-21. If you haven't guessed, I don't trust Cleveland right now. All right, and now we've got Seattle at Atlanta, which is a very intriguing game for me because Atlanta's another one of those teams I'm keeping my eye on this year. You still have Matt Ryan and you still have Julio Jones, and you add Todd Gurley. If Todd Gurley is 80% of what he was in Los Angeles in 2018, Atlanta's going to be amazing this year. But they're not going to be as amazing as Seattle, and it's very hard to pick against Seattle because they have Russell Wilson, who could arguably be the MVP every single season. That team is competitive because of Russell Wilson. He's incredible. He's so fun to watch. I'm very happy we get to watch Russell Wilson. And I think Russell Wilson's going to win the football game this week. Don't discount his weapons either, though. He does have Greg Olsen at tight end now. He has DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and their defense is still pretty solid as well. Oh, and they added arguably the best safety in the league in Jamal Adams. So give me Seattle 19-14. I think it'll be close, honestly. Atlanta's going to be better this year after me crapping on them all season last year. You have to improve at some point. I think it'll be now, but Seattle still is going to take the league by storm this year, I think, honestly. So I'm going to take Seattle. And now we've got the debut of one Joey Burrow over in Cincinnati. They're taking on the Chargers, who aren't watching their rookie quarterback start yet, which I think is smart. I think Tyrod Taylor's a solid quarterback, solid to the point where I think they win this game 21-20. Cincinnati as a team's not ready to win big games yet. I think Joe Burrow comes in ready to win games, but I don't think the team is. I mean, that Cincinnati team was garbage last year. One player, I mean, quarterback is certainly the most important player on a team, but one player is not going to win you a whole game. The defense is going to let them down late in this game. Tyrod Taylor goes in and takes it. But Joey Burrow is going to have a very impressive rookie season. I do have a strong feeling about that. And now we are looking at the Arizona Cardinals against the San Francisco 49ers. Give me the Niners in this game, 26-24. Both of the games last season between these two teams were incredibly close. Arizona has improved. They have not gotten worse. San Francisco, in my opinion, maintaining status quo. You lose DeForest Buckner, but I don't think that's going to hurt them that much. You still have Sherm, you still have Bosa, you still have Kittle, you still have all those running backs outside of Matt Breida. I think that San Francisco just has a better core of a team, and they'll find the way to win late in the game. Arizona typically plays really well in week one, as far as I've seen them. I mean, look at last year. They almost came back and beat the Lions after being down by however many points. But with their new shiny toys, I think disappointment comes in just on this week, but it's not going to follow for the rest of the season. So 26-24 49ers. And the much-awaited debut of Tom Brady in Tampa Bay taking on the New Orleans Saints. And I'm taking the New Orleans Saints in this game. New Orleans is a much more well-rounded team right now, just from a consistency standpoint. And I like consistency. But there's also another factor that a lot of people aren't considering. Outside of Andrew Luck, when Bruce Arians took over as head coach during Chuck Pagano's cancer scare, first-year quarterbacks, not first-year quarterbacks, that'd be rookies, but quarterbacks in their first year of a Bruce Arians system in the first couple of weeks do not typically play very well. Tom Brady's only played in... No, that's not true, though. He's played in more than one system, but he's only played for one team. But he's never played in a system like a Bruce Arians system, which hates tight ends. I'm joking, of course. But Tom Brady's going to struggle out the gate a little bit. He declined a little bit at the end of last year, and this system is not easy. So I think with all those things considered, and Drew Brees is going for this last final push, I think the smart thing to do here is to take New Orleans 38-32. Expect a barn burner, though. And now we are going into our night slate of games. We've got the Dallas Cowboys taking on the LA Rams here, and this is another game that I'm kind of iffy on, but I have a good feeling about the Cowboys. Do I have a good feeling about the Cowboys in the season? I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of Mike McCarthy, to be honest. And the Rams have a lot of work to do to find their 2018 footing once again. But I think the core of Dallas is going to carry them to a win here. You still have Cooper, you still have Elliott, you still have Prescott. People like to just kind of hate on the Cowboys, and they will discount them just because they're the Cowboys, and I I'm guilty of that too. I also don't think it's smart. I mean, this team has so much offensive talent. CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup. You've got so many weapons on this team. And even defensively, even though Sean Lee may get hurt again, and, Leighton Vander Esch is great, though. They lose Byron Jones, but I don't think that's going to hurt them that much either. There's a lot of upside with Dallas, and now you have a competent head coach in Mike McCarthy. I think the Rams are going to maintain a status quo and have a good season. Not a great season. I think these two teams are going to mirror each other a little bit as well. They have a lot of similarities, except, the Cowboys might not be as cap hit as the Rams are, but they might be after giving Dak Prescott $40 million. Who knows? But right now, I'm going to take the Cowboys 23-17 just in the Week 1 game. And now we're taking a look at Pittsburgh at the New York Giants. I'm going to take Pittsburgh. In fact, I'm going to take Pittsburgh 39-30. And it could be even worse than that, too. We don't really know, but is there a better game for Ben Roethlisberger to have his first game back against? The Giants' secondary is not great. They got James Bradbury, which is great. But as a team, other than stopping the run, defensively, they're not the best in the league, to be honest. And Ben Roethlisberger loves to throw the football all over the place. And he's got speedy receivers like Deontay Johnson and James Washington and Juju Smith-Schuster. Not to mention he still has James Conner running the ball. Daniel Jones is an intriguing guy, though, isn't he? Another rocket arm kind of guy, pretty mobile. Likes to cough up the ball, but, that's a young quarterback kind of thing. I think the Giants are also going to be better than a lot of people think they are. People kind of dismiss them because, Daniel Jones, 6th overall pick, it was a reach. He's a pretty good quarterback still, but that team is not ready to go against a Pittsburgh team that went 8-8 without their starting quarterback last year, where they started Mason Rudolph and Duck Hodges for most of the year. And you could also argue Ben Roethlisberger didn't really play very well to start the season last year, but he played New England, who was the best defense in the league, and Seattle, who was a pretty good defense last year. There's too many factors to tell what exactly is going to happen, but I would take the hot hand in this one. I would take the proven commodity, and that's Ben Roethlisberger and the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I didn't even talk about Pittsburgh's defense. That unit is scary and will probably be the best unit in the league this year. So all things considered, I'm taking Pittsburgh by 9. And the final game we are looking at this year is the Tennessee Titans taking on the Denver Broncos, two of my prove-it teams. Not particularly, though. Denver is my new Buffalo. Denver is my Buffalo this year. I think Denver's going to be really good, kind of slow coming out the gate, but they're going to be great by season's end. Tennessee was a team at the end of the year last year. I said, watch out for these guys are going to be good. They're in a weird situation, though. They did get Jadeveon Clowney, though, and I think that takes them over the edge now and helps them win this game. Before that signing, it was more of a pick-em. I'm not really sure who to take in this game because, honestly, they're really similar teams in my opinion. Good running backs, good running game, good offensive line, solid defense. But when you lose a guy like Von Miller for the entire season like Denver just did, and you add a guy like Jadeveon Clowney to a Titans defensive line that was already very good, it's really hard to pick Denver. So I'm going to go ahead and take Tennessee. 17-16, really close slugfest of a Monday Night Football game. And thank you so much for watching this first episode of the 2020 NFL season picks. I don't have picks from last week because there was no last week, but in the coming weeks, that record will be displayed here. But meanwhile, while you're here, go ahead and watch all my other NFL content, some of my WWE content as well, which may or may not be coming back. It will be. And thank you once again for watching. Be sure to subscribe, like, and share the video here. And be tuned next week for more NFL picks and content. Thank you so much.